Though there's some top-notch graphics. Lewis from West
Liking it.
Derbyshire, England. Welcome to the Rebel News Daily live stream. rebelnews.com/livestreams is where you can find the daily feed. We're on Rumble, Super U, Odyssey, Getter, and of course, YouTube, where they love us and hate us all at the same time. So subscribe where you see fit and consider paying a chat to get to us. You know, whether it's insults, comments, questions, news articles, or just a shout out in some way, we appreciate it. So you can do that on Rumble, Super U, and Odyssey. Rumble rants, Super U shouts, Odyssey hyper chats from the future. Lewis Brackpool, how are you today, young man?
I'm very well. It's good to see you once again for our weekly shenanigans over at the Rebel Daily. So I'm glad to be here. How are you?
I'm doing very well. For those who aren't aware, which is everybody except for the people in this room, we've already had an hour together this morning on another show. We're going to do another hour today. And maybe, you know, after school today, we'll just get together at the park and hit the swing set as well. Lewis Brackpool.
Yep.
So right off the top, we've got some, you know, sadder news. Ryerson University in Canada, since it's so bigoted of them to have a bad name based off a Canadian, you know, historical figure, they tore down the statue. You know, Antifa was so happy, and so were people with blue hair all across the country. Now they've officially changed their name, Lewis, to what? Let's bring you up. Toronto Metropolitan University. Spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to change your signage and all your stuff just to please like 12 people is pretty much what it is. Lewis, where are we now in life, Lewis? Where are we in society?
Listen, this isn't just happening over in Canada. It's happening everywhere across the West at the minute. I mean, it was only a few weeks ago that over here we are to potentially change a park name in honor of Diane Abbott, a Labour MP.
Okay.
Diane Abbott is a Labour MP, of course, and it's due. I think there must be an article about it. I think GB News put up an article regarding this, but yeah, they want to change absolutely everything, rewrite history to do with slavery. Here it is: a London park could be renamed in honor of Diane.
So
Abbott.
Diane Abbott is sitting politician.
Yes, and she's possibly the worst, one of the worst politicians that Labour has ever even conceived. So, yeah, I don't know. So it's not just happening over in Canada; it's happening over here as well. We are not alone, so don't you worry.
You'll never walk alone. You might even say, Lewis. No, we need to save we need to save these parks from the names of these tyrannical, you know, members of Parliament. That's ridiculous. You don't just name. Over here, public schools and streets are named after astronauts or historical figures that have done some good. We do have there's a Christine Elliott Drive in Whitby, Ontario, Canada, which I understand there's probably a Whitby in England as well. And this is a woman who is a provincial government member, so I guess it's not unprecedented, but I think it's silly. This woman's in her 40s, and she's already done enough, I guess, for who knows to be having a street named after her. I'm glad I don't live on that street, just like I don't want to live on Doug Ford Cheeseburger Lane or something like that. Olivia's bringing up the map here. It's in North. I used to live near here, everybody. Christine Elliott Avenue.
Brilliant.
Coming up next,
Very nice.
Blueprints to her home. No, I'm just kidding. We'll put that up after. Yeah, there's not much to say other than it's silly woke stuff, Lewis. David Menzies, national treasure here at Rebel News, went to Ryerson University. I can only hope to expect a story from him about this. Of course, everything was done under false pretenses when they tore the statue down, which makes it that much more hilarious, if not horrific. And this is where we are today in Canada. Who's saying yes to this? If they want to do this, go ahead. I'm not sending my non-existent children to your school that cares so much about this sort of thing. You know, change George Washington University, change the Abraham Lincoln Monument to be, I don't know, Beto O'Rourke or something. We can do all that stuff. But as long as we don't hurt anyone's feelings that hasn't been alive for 200 years. The next story, Lewis, is, where is this out of? Sky News. Climate
This
change.
is Sky News.
Go ahead.
Do you want me to do it?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that they finally solved climate change, I think. Again.
I think they have again, yeah, for the 100th time. Sky News put out a headline. This was today, not so long ago, saying that designers of a cow face mask that neutralizes emissions from belching, and it's won a £50,000 Prince Charles prize.
Prince
and
Charles.
You can have a little look at the image of the cow wearing this.
It's a very chill and relaxed cow.
It is, even with a strange device attached
Bane
to it.
cow? It seems your milk
Bane
now.
cow.
You know. Your milk
let's
is
see what it
doing
says.
wonders, Batman. Drink this milk and perhaps you will find eternal darkness.
There you go. A face mask for cows that neutralizes the climate heating gas methane in their belches has won a design award from Prince Charles and designer Sir Joni Ive, I'm going to say. Never heard of him, totally honest.
You mean you
Students
don't
from the
know
Royal
every
College-
person who's been knighted in your country?
No, I don't, strangely. And I
Wow.
don't know the Queen afterwards, like, personally. Weird. Students from the Royal College of Art were tasked with designing projects that reverse the damage humans are doing to the climate and nature. And funnily enough, they picked a face mask.
Funnily enough.
Out of 125 submissions, 4 teams of RCA students and alumni have been chosen as the winners of the inaugural Terra Carta Design Lab competition, receiving £50,000 in funding and to help further develop their ideas. And among the 4 winning designs was a harness for cattle to convert their methane emissions into CO2 and water vapor in real time. So basically, a mask that goes on, and every time a cow decides to burp, it basically converts it
Well, this
into
part,
basically.
the majority is emitted through their belching, but some also comes from their flatulence. So I'm hoping we're going to see pants
Yeah.
and or shorts or cow underwear. Lewis,
Yeah,
how ironic is
basically.
it that the Prince Charles Award is awarded to somebody for something that covers a face? Some may be
Yeah.
asking, why isn't he covering his face? Which he
Yeah.
probably does.
Yeah, let's just cover every animal with these weird face masks, along with us as well, which they've been doing.
There's so much to do with cow belching and farting and the gas emissions from cows, but it doesn't take much research to know that soybean farming is much worse for the environment. You can't grow anything on there for a much larger time. What's the turnaround on it? What's the farming term for a turnaround? You know what I mean? The yield, Lewis, is
The yield.
It takes much longer. You have to clear out much larger spaces. The animals, Lewis, please think of the animals as well. And it's a big problem
Yeah.
in places like Brazil. So places where people have fought to get rid of, cow farming, and in many places end up burning down the forests and
Yep.
surrounding areas. There is now
Avocado as well.
avocado. There is now, farms there that are worse. But as long as it doesn't feel worse, Lewis, as long as we feel
Yes.
better about our beans, and we know how you like your
Yes.
beans, you're eating them by the can from Heinz Beans every single day.
Yeah. I'm in the factories.
We can't keep up with his demand, sir.
Yeah, but I love my beans, bruv. Come on, build back better, bruv.
Oh man, but yeah, we're just knee deep in hypocrisy here, and everything's about feelings.
Yeah.
And we got to mask these cows, and we're going to award people. It's all this circular motion of award this person this so that they can have this green energy solution, and it's my billionaires over your billionaires. It's just enough. It's just people, if they're treated kindly and honestly, and they're given the truth, they will make the right decision. But people aren't being given the right truth. The actual truth, I should say, not the version of truth. And I feel like there is a place, of course, for innovation such as this. But when we've gotten down to cow masks instead of how can we make our car engines more efficient or something like that, how can we make pollution from factories more efficient, we're down to cow masks, and people are going to say, well, these university students, this is the most, intricate and most integral part of society we are being a part of, and the Queen, through the prints is going to literally give you money to pursue this green agenda. And we can parlay that, Lewis, into this story. I'm looking for it. Out of Canada, yes. Ontario youth are more depressed and anxious than pre-pandemic days. Due to what, Lewis? Climate change and COVID-19. It's not locking them down. It's not the school children that are wearing masks that walk down my street every day even though they don't have to. They're wearing them outside. They're wearing them at school even though they don't have to. It's COVID and it's climate change, obviously. Let's read some of this article from our spin doctors at CTV News. Who's the author of this? I can't read this. Abby Neufeld. Neufeld. Nice Germanic name. Ontario high school student Russ Levy says the last 2 years haven't been easy on him or his peers. I wonder why. Mississauga resident who serves as youth advisor to the Center for Addiction and Mental Health told CTV News, between climate anxiety and the pandemic, he's seen mental health worse than over the...
Climate anxiety, I'm sorry.
Now, before we read the rest of the article, Lewis, is it, and back to us, please, Olivia, is it going to mention lockdowns or masking, or is it just going to say no? Okay, your prediction's no. On Tuesday, they released findings of their biennial, we have to get writer Dave's opinion on the use of that word, Ontario Student Drug Use and Health Survey results show that the youth surveyed across the province feeling increased feelings of depression due to the pandemic and climate change. So you've rewritten the same paragraph twice. Congratulations. Survey launched in 1977 is to gauge youth experiences with drug use, mental health, etc., etc. Grades 7 to 12 were surveyed. Online questionnaire, which can always be trusted. Students spanned 122 schools across 2,225 high school students. Let's scroll down a bit. We see COVID-19, pandemic impact. Experience feelings of depression with the future because of COVID-19, with more than a third of those students stating the pandemic significantly negatively impacted their mental health. Why is that? Let's not ask why. Levy dealt with this issue himself. School closures to be challenging. I became very withdrawn, you don't say. Everything felt optional, oh, you don't say. Wonderful teachers we've got here in this province. The unions, I should say. Learning from home to be very difficult. Lewis Brackpool, I know and you know that if we had online schooling when we were in high school, we'd be turning around and playing PlayStation every other minute. We'd be 100%. Watching YouTube videos. It's not hard to skirt around these rules. Spyro. It'd be so easy to have your camera on you and be doing things in other windows while on mute. Like, prove me wrong.
Well, no, yeah, I can't really. I mean, it's just pure distraction. When you were talking about things like climate anxiety, and we know with things
that's
like...
That's the teacher's fault.
It is, yeah, absolutely. And remember the rhetoric as well coming from environmentalists. They're drilling into people's minds, okay, that the whole world is going to end within 10 years because of this.
If we don't mask our cows now, Lewis, we've got 7 years to live.
Gosh, I mean, it's the same thing. I wrote up something recently the other day as well that the European Union is asking its citizens to stay at home or work from home to beat Putin. But it's all in relation to the climate agenda because that's what they want. That's the agenda. We know it. We know that this to be true. And it all coincides. It's all, it's all mapped out by these people now. It's unbelievable. I mean, it's so plain and clear for everyone to see, but people are just sleepwalking through it and going, yeah, all right, if I turn down my air conditioning, that's going to work. Do you know what I mean? That's going to stop Putin's war machine and solve the climate crisis. Now we're putting masks on cows.
That's right.
Now we're blaming things on students for not partaking in certain activities. Yeah, if you question lockdown, that's sorry, I'm going on a rant now.
Let's make sure that other article didn't mention masking, because the people that watch us for weird reasons that just to hate us will cry if we don't say that. 11% of the youth, let's see, relationships with their parent guardian has worsened. 11% say they always talk to a parent or guardian about problems and feelings. Nearly half said they sometimes shared these things with a parent. 40% said they never did. Yeah, so nothing about masks, which of course, why would a child having to wear a mask 8 hours a day be bothersome? That's so much joy. It's just the future because of COVID-19. Negatively impacted mental health, and they're very extremely difficult to learn online. Relationship with parents have become worse. A quarter of children say their relationship with their parents have gotten worse because the parents have to stay home and watch them instead of the kids being in school. Basically. And why do they have to stay home, Lewis? Because the teachers don't want to work. Whether the teachers or actually just the unions, they don't want to go back to work. They had March break. They were back to work for like last year. They were back to work for like 2 weeks, and they're like, oh, we need March break. Oh, we need to go back to online learning. This is unsafe. A bunch of people who get an entire summer off. And good on them for wanting to be teachers and wanting to be teaching the youth, even though they do like to brainwash them from time to time, especially in Ontario, where they vote almost exclusively for the NDP. Yeah. You still have to work. There's this thing where it's like, oh, please, the teachers, no teachers are bad. Like, it was just like how the camel's back had to be broken against teachers, just like it had to be broken against doctors and scientists for the pandemic. They're not all amazing people. The libs of TikTok is a great example of showing how teachers are not all great people. Most of them, yes, I would say. I never had a problem with 90% of the teachers that I ever had in my life. But you know just as I do, that 10% of lunatics that make it into teaching that want you to teach your children about how their gender is not what it may seem, or about how the world is coming to an end in 10 years.
Yeah, and you must remember, of course, if the media are pumping out cases every single day and constantly reminding people, okay, that cases are constantly going up and deaths are going up and things like that, how do you think that's going to impact a child if they're constantly around that? So make it make sense, for crying out loud. I'm bored of it.
I'm willing to bet there's a teacher in Toronto or Vancouver who had a daily COVID number thing up in their classroom every day. And I was 100%. Listening to the great Joe Rogan podcast today with Duncan Trussell. I love that guy. And he was talking about something I agree with, which would be what would be called nanny cams. There should be a camera feed to your classroom up in the corner so you can see what the teacher's doing, so they're not doing anything inappropriate, like watching anything inappropriate, and are actually working. It would help for the teacher's evaluation with their school board, but also so you could tune in at any time if you're a teacher or if you're a parent during the day and hear what's going on in the classroom. Not enough to hear the children whispering. I'm not into, like, the children should have some sort of privacy where they can lean over to Jimmy and Sally and say whatever they want to them. But so that when the teacher's talking to the classroom, they can see what's going on, they can hear what's going on, and see what's being taught. Otherwise, you're going to end up with the things you don't want. And it doesn't have to be, you know, I'm not saying we can't have certain things taught, but what I'm saying is the parent has a right to know. Because when it gets too far, when it becomes communism, or you're dying in 5 years, or pull up your mask or else you're a terrible person, that's when the parents deserve to be able to see it. That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No one profession is infallible.
Yeah, and I believe that, you know, the parents should have way more rights than the school to decide on this, what this child should learn and what this child is being force-fed every day in their lessons. Imagine that you come home, your child comes home, and then you ask them, "Oh, so what did you learn about today?" And then they start going on about pansexualism, or like, you know, yeah, we realized that in 10 years we're going to be underwater. So yeah, that's great. Should I even really be going to school? Do you know what I mean? So it would get to that point. So, you know, yeah, parents should have way more rights and way more of a say in what they should be teaching their children. And I say they, I mean the school and the state, basically. If
your child spent 40 hours a week with a teacher they thought was cool, and 95% of what the teacher said is okay, and then that other 5% is, you know what, I really don't think we should have borders. And then a couple hours a week, they talk about how borders are stupid and how everybody is legal. And the kid goes home and then says that to their parent. They're like, what are you talking about? That cool teacher is going to get the upper hand. And we've all had a cool teacher. Mine was Mr. Jenkinson, the history teacher who made us reenact things. And it was cool and fun. And he had tattoos and he did magic tricks. But he was just teaching us about World War II. If he started teaching us about, you know, windmill turbines. Windmill turbines, yes. Then maybe I would be more like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would be like, maybe windmills are a good idea, and they don't take up too much room. They don't destroy the environment at all, you know?
They haven't got toxic metals in them and you can't recycle them. Weird.
They don't kill birds and bats and they just get left for dead. There is a patch of land on the Highway 401 here, Lewis, and highways are big stretches of large roads that you can go drive fast on, which we have in our continent.
Nice.
The more you know.
Yep.
Stop bullying Lewis, you guys, is what they're going to say. There's a big stretch of land with windmills. They've been there forever. They don't produce very much energy. They don't offset anything. It's a football field worth of windmills, I think, for... I'm not even going to claim. Let's look that up, Olivia. But after we do this stuff about Twitter, let somebody super chat me that answer of how many houses can a field of windmills power, and then we'll read that on there.
I'd like to know that.
I would like to know that. We're not going to abuse our producer to get that information either. So, as we all know, Elon has taken over Twitter. People's accounts are popping up out of nowhere that were banned for a year or more. People are saying whatever they want to say about elections, about COVID, about, whether Paw Patrol should be taken off the air. That's just me. And some hilarious reactions. Of course, we have people openly disagreeing with Elon about the New York Post being suspended. Tucker Carlson's back on there, and we'll get to the New York Post thing in a second. But Twitter's top lawyer is said to have cried during the meeting about Elon Musk's buyout. And this is from the Daily Wire. Let's throw that up. Tim Meads, I'm not familiar with him. Let's scroll down and read a little bit. Leftist tears were literally flowing. All right, it's this angle. At Twitter headquarters on Monday after Elon Musk's offer to buy a social media platform was accepted. On Tuesday, Politico reported that Twitter's top lawyer, Vijaya Gadde, called a virtual meeting among policy and legal teams that she oversees to discuss how Musk would impact the company. Gadde cried during the meeting as she expressed concerns about how the company could change, according to 3 people familiar with the meeting, Politico reported. So if you're not sure who this woman is, she went on Joe Rogan with Jack Dorsey and Tim Pool, and they flat out denied so many things about banning people. And the funny thing to me, Lewis, is you're okay with tons of people being banned and, making dead naming a suspendable offense and suppressing news stories and suppressing people's ideas, really, shadow banning them, as we know from Project Veritas. And somebody comes in with the offer to make things a free speech platform, and this hurts you enough to cry? Like, you're afraid of the idea that people can't say what they want anymore and that you can't control what they say? There she is. Great episode if you want to go back and see how much the Twitter executives, and she's their top lawyer, a top legal professional, is crying over the fact that she's got a new boss.
Yeah. These tears are good, by the way. I'm just putting that out there. These are good tears. I'll tell you why. It's because if she didn't cry and everything was just another day at work, we're back to normal, that would be a bit worrying, because that means that there's no change about to come. So, this is a good thing. This is a good thing that she's crying. I can't believe I'm saying that. It's so
wow,
horrible.
Lewis Brackpool. There's footage, or actually there's audio that you can find, Olivia. I think it's Project Veritas, not to double up on their shout-outs, from the internal meeting where I don't trust the guy. I forget what his name is, the one that Jack Dorsey put in charge, and he believes in so much. Yes. It should be on, I think it's a Facebook link, but they posted it somewhere. Project Veritas, undercover audio from, there you go. Yeah, let's find that to play so people can see that the Twitter higher-ups are still, saying, don't worry, we're just, like, they say a lot of stuff without saying anything. Let's go ahead and play this. Just play like a minute of the intro here. Dun, 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 dun. Too many pop-ups is what I'm watching. We're getting a lot of
I
pop-ups.
could have a can of beans in that time. I'm joking.
Beans on toast.
You love the bean joke.
And I'm sure you're still processing it. The focus of this all hands is you. I know
Like
many of you want to know what has happened.
The aliens have
And
invaded.
what's next. And I want to answer all of your questions. That is what this all hands is all about. And we have a lot to cover. To start, I've seen many questions that talk about the process
Talk to them
that
like
got
they're
us to this point.
children who are about to be sent to war.
So that's where we'll begin. I want to hand hand it off to Brett, the chairman of our board, to speak to you all directly about how we reached today's announcement. Brett.
Poor subtitling.
Thank you, Parag. I want to talk through the process, but I actually just want to start by expressing my gratitude to all of you. Running Twitter, like all of you do every day, is not an easy job. There's a ton of stakeholders, a lot of opinions from the world, and running it amidst all that has been swirling around Twitter over the past few weeks is nothing short of remarkable. And
So remarkable.
the whole board, and I just want to speak on behalf of everyone, is just really grateful to all of you for keeping your heads down as you've been able to.
Is that what they've been doing?
Keeping,
This isn't the
train
song
running.
for crying out
I also just want to acknowledge all the emotions of today. It is an emotional day. I want to acknowledge it. And
First things
I just
first,
really
our
appreciate,
emotions.
Everyone on this call. So let's talk about the process. The board received Elon Musk's proposal on April 14th. And since then, the board took on a process that we really tried to make thoughtful, comprehensive, and deliberate. And we've had a number of discussions between the two parties. When we were considering the proposal, it was really in light of.
It's funny. I think we can pause it here, Olivia. It's funny to listen to a guy who has to answer to business people, have to explain to people who are governed only by emotions. Hi, kids. This is how business works. First, we got offered a bunch of money, and people said no because it was mean. And then the people who make the money said, hey, we would like to double our money. And then, therefore, we accepted it. Too bad. That's what these people need. If there's, and I'm not saying it's everybody or even most people at Twitter, but if they're sitting there crying, oh, you know, your emotions and this, like, this is what these people need to be told, like children. Hey, guess what? Too bad. You're here to work. People get to have opinions that are different from yours. Too bad.
Yeah, like, for crying out loud. I mean, look, I just want to put it out there. Like, I don't necessarily trust Elon Musk, but I'm so intrigued to see where this is going. And I'm quite excited to see it in a weird way. But that speech, I don't even know what to say, really. It's
the aliens have landed.
Like they're
killing people by the millions.
Gates of Mordor has just opened, and they're like, right, what do we do now? Like, they sound so worried. They sound like they're about to cry. Oh no, some people that we disagree with is going to be allowed to say things that we disagree with and that we don't like. That we can't shut them down. Oh, the horror. Like, it's pathetic, is what it is. These are pathetic human beings.
Wow.
Is what I'm going to say.
Black-pilled with Lewis Brackpool.
Sorry. Apologies.
And sip from his pub mug. Elon Musk, and we've got more on that, Elon Musk even stated, and this is what I was talking about earlier, about people openly disagreeing with him. I think it was a Twitter engineer who disagreed with him on Twitter. So many layers to this. He said the suspending of New York Post from Twitter was incredibly inappropriate. Again, this is what people are fighting against. Just like the Don't Say Gay bill. It's really weird when people fight against these things that 5 to 10 years ago were obviously, and for good reason, not a terrible thing. Like, Elon Musk is saying that it was bad that we banned a news company for exposing materials that were real. And just because we were told not to believe that it was real. That's what news companies are supposed to do, present you with their findings. And now, if you don't agree with it, if Twitter or the engineers with their emotions at Twitter don't think something can be verified, then it doesn't get to be shown. Like, how many pictures of models need to be taken down if we want to go the super feminist route? Because those aren't true to life. I believe trending on the side there was Kim Kardashian getting accused of photoshopping her belly button out of a photo. So should that be banned? Should Kim Kardashian, if she did that, be suspended from Twitter until she deletes her photoshopped photo for misinformation? Until it can be verified by totally independent Washington fact checkers.
Obviously, I mean, no.
Okay.
Yeah, obviously. No, well, this is it, Andrew. I mean, the problem with it is you're going to find people that you disagree with in life. That's just life. But if you want safe spaces, why don't you create your own? Why don't you create your own social media, like what we've been told for years and years and years? Why don't you create your own social media? Off you go. Why don't you transfer to another one that helps with your safe space? Listen, like it or not, Twitter should be really for everyone to go on and discuss ideas. It is a playground of ideas. And if you don't like that, and if you don't like dissenting opinions, then maybe it's not for you anymore. But because now there are so many people that should be reinstated, by the way, that I think would be so entertaining. Whether you agree with them or not is another issue. But there are so many people that need to come back and just
so many sultans and Iranian warlords and Taliban accounts.
Oh, yeah, all of them. Yeah, all of them.
Let's show Olivia Sunny Hostin, or whatever her name is, from The View, complaining that Elon Musk wanting free speech is white supremacy. And then we'll roll that into Joy Reid's insanity on a different show. This one's a bald woman instead of just crazy, a panel of crazy women. But Sunny Hostin, let's play what she had to say from just the intellectual battleground that is The View. She's saying that Elon Musk wants to bring out his version of free speech is white supremacy, I believe.
Gosh.
And in fact, on Twitter, it is predominantly straight white men. So when Elon Musk says, wow, this is about free speech, it seems to me that it's about free speech of straight white men. And so let them have it. Let them just go at it. I enjoy the block button on Twitter. I think it has a real outsized influence in our world because politicians and celebrities are on it. And in fact, on Twitter, it is predominantly straight white men. So when Elon Musk says, wow, this is...
She basically just said straight white men on Twitter should just go at it. It's what she just said.
Just let them argue with each other. I'd like to know where Sunny plans on going next. She can go to Parler. She can go to Getter. She can go to Gab. She can go to Minds. And guess what? You're not going to find what you want on any of those, for better or for worse. So
Tumblr.
If you created this echo chamber that no longer echoes what you want, guess what? You told all the people you disagree with to go somewhere else. So now you don't have anywhere else to go unless you want to go on Facebook and Instagram, I guess. But it's such a problem to you that people can say what they want. She's right about the blocking stuff. Just don't. If Trump comes back on and you don't like it, just don't follow him. Just block him or something. But
well, this is it.
I want to know her statistics on how many white men are on Twitter.
Yeah, well, exactly. And this is the thing. And then people say, oh, it's anti-free speech to block. No, it's not. You don't have to force people. I'm going to force everyone now to subscribe to my YouTube channel because you have to, right? No, this is ridiculous. Of course you're allowed to block and mute people if you want. This is ridiculous. And I'm playing devil's advocate here. So, yeah, blocking someone isn't anti-free speech, by the way. You don't have to be forced to look at people's content. And it's the same with these left-wing people who are just saying all this nonsense about how, it's so horrible that there's people with dissenting opinions. You don't have to look at it, by the way. Maybe you can turn off your screen and go outside. How about that? Do you know
we
what
already
I mean?
showed the Tyler, the Creator tweet from years ago.
Oh, yeah. That's it.
That will be unbanned.
Yeah, that will be unbanned. But there's something as well, an interesting development. I don't know if Olivia could bring this up, but on Twitter, I think raging far leftists have been saying, oh, well, if it's free speech, then I can say that and I quote, this is from them, saying that they want to kill Elon Musk and things like that, which is absolutely insane. And they think that they can get away with something like that.
Because they've never had to actually think about it, Lewis. They've never actually had to think. I saw one yesterday that some woman with the bio you'd expect puts up this chart that says, were you banned from social media? Yes, and has the two platforms. Was the government doing it? Then your free speech was violated. Were you probably just being a dick about something? Then no. And that's what their understanding of this is that people are only banned or shadow banned or suspended if they're just being mean. So this is just a way of society correcting you from being mean. That's the long and short of what they think this is. They just think that they're completely unaware, blissfully unaware maybe in some cases, that people are actually being censored for political reasons and for ideological reasons. It's not just somebody's being mean needlessly and bullying somebody that they're suspended, but this is a rudimentary understanding from adult women on The View in their 40s and 50s. Oh, the only reason that somebody would want free speech is so that they can insult the person of their choice. It's just, it's hard for me to, and we're about to show the bald lady, Joy Reid. It's hard for me to imagine that adults who are paid this much money and have this much viewership gifted to them are this uninformed, or they're just lying. So it's just like, how can you have this point of view? It must have never been challenged. It's like talking to a 16-year-old who never really thought about, the consequences of making fun of another person in passing and the piling on of that. They never thought about the consequences of what they do. So these people have never thought about the consequences of handing the power of speech to somebody because the person currently in power is who they agree with. The pendulum will swing.
Yeah, and remember, Elon has made it clear that he has to work within the law, for crying out loud. Like they say that, everyone could just start breaking the law then and start saying really like
threats,
unlawful things,
stuff like that.
Don't you think it's fascinating though, Andrew, that this has caused like such a stir within the media, within society in general? Twitter, an app that you go on just to post statuses. I mean, it shows you the current, the current state of society now, that we're so dependent on things like this. We're so dependent on this online playground. It's quite fascinating to watch, and that's coming at it from a philosophical angle in a weird way. I just can't. I mean, with my accent, it's quite difficult to do.
But it also sounds so intelligent at the same time.
Thank you very much.
Okay, let's play this clip before we get too far ahead of ourselves.
Well, and the bottom line is, as you said, if they don't want to just be in the club. They are on the, they've been described as being on the outside of the culture, looking in through the glass. But they don't just want to come in. They want to come in and be able to punch people in the face and walk around and laugh about it. And
I thought we were supposed to punch Nazis.
Stop them. The thing is, the enjoyment they get out of being in this town square is being able to harass people, being able to attack people. There was a time when people had the double hashtags around their names because they were Jewish, and right-wingers were saying, get in the oven anytime you made any benign comment on Twitter. They attacked women. The misogyny was crazy on Twitter for a while. Elon Musk, I guess he misses the old South Africa in the 80s. He wants that back.
Ah, yes, of course.
So he
wants apartheid back. Is that what she was saying? Yeah. She wants
She's a literal crazy person. I prefer when this was a time of terrible apartheid.
Elon wants you to have an opinion. That means that he believes in the apartheid.
That's right.
In South Africa.
You must want World War II to happen again. These are the people. Luckily, MSNBC doesn't get a lot of views other than Rachel Maddow, who basically is Michael Knowles, but I digress, as they say. What else did we have here from Lewis Brackpool? It says a nice quote about freedom of expression, or is that a story? Oh, that's a tweet.
Oh, yes, that was Amnesty International, wasn't it?
Right.
Where they tweeted out saying 2 words, toxic Twitter. And my response is, freedom of speech and expression is actually a human right, yet Amnesty International isn't interested in protecting these rights. And I said, how about one word? Charlatans, because I believe that they are.
Who is allowing their Twitter person to just make these comments? Like, why are they given this much leeway to just post opinions? Like the Rebel News,
unprofessional.
The Rebel News Twitter, blessed Yakov, he doesn't just post on the Rebel News Twitter, I think Joy Reid's an idiot. Like, can you imagine that? Like,
he works so hard.
He does.
So
my point is, why does Amnesty International want to do like a sassy, punchy tweet like that? What's the gain here?
I don't know. I don't get it. That's why I saw it and went, what? I said, what? Are you serious? A human rights organization is making a jibe on freedom of expression and freedom of speech. Clearly, they're not interested. They don't care.
A jibe.
Charlatans, really.
We mentioned the one MP in England who had a street named after them. Lewis, there's another MP who did something else. You want to fill us in on that one?
Let me just get it up.
I'm not sure what you mean.
Oh, well, let's have a look. The Evening Standard have put out a news article saying a Tory MP was watching pornography on his phone in the House of Commons.
Oh, my God. Elected officials.
What was he thinking?
He's really conservative as well.
So conservative. Like I keep saying, and it proves my point, conservatives in the UK are basically liberals. So let's have a little look. So Conservative Chief Whip Chris Heaton-Harris has launched an investigation into the report. An investigation has been launched into claims that a Tory MP watched pornography on his phone in the House of Commons chamber. Conservative Chief Whip Chris Heaton-Harris has confirmed the probe and described such behaviour as wholly unacceptable. A woman minister reportedly told colleagues about the incident at a meeting of Conservative MPs in Westminster on Tuesday, and it was corroborated by a colleague. A statement from the Conservative Whip's office said the Chief Whip is looking into this matter. So, what do you think? Should MPs be watching pornography in their time when they're supposed to be debating?
Yeah, no, they should be doing what their job is. Now, my first instinct was, what did this woman see? Was it actually pornography? Yes. Blah, blah, blah. Yes. But I don't see any denial from that, because if I were the guy and somebody accused me of that, and it was obviously untrue, and I was looking at, Formula One statistics, as Lewis would do, I would be like, what the hell? This person's lying. She's trying to smear me. But I don't see that anywhere, which kind of makes me believe that it's probably true, Lewis.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to be the fly on the wall anyway of the woman going and reporting it, being like, I saw him looking at some BDSM during some like.
No, I don't even think you should report the person. You should just understand, maybe tell the person, hey, dude, this is really weird and creepy that you're doing this.
What are you doing?
You don't. We must report this person. This person must be reported for not being gallant enough. But it's gross. It's creepy. You shouldn't do it. Obviously, I think he probably did it. My guess. We'll follow up on that for sure.
I will look into the matter. And
you will go and interview him, won't you?
Why were you watching porn in the House of Commons, mate, whilst we were supposed to be debating?
Everything has to be done from that street, tough British angle.
Absolutely.
I mentioned some people might be watching this looking for things to clip because they don't like us. There's an anti-hate group in Canada, and of course CBC anti-hate group. Of course CBC has eaten it up completely. Now we all know, whether it's conservative or liberal, if there's something called the anti-hate group or the leftist watch, they're
anti-fascists.
Yeah, no matter which side it's coming from, if you've dedicated your group to saying we're stamping out hate, which we now see with places like the NAACP, and you think these things that used to be good, these things that used to have real purpose, it's really gone by the wayside. So if you've started a group that's against hate, we pretty much all know what that really means. It's I'm against things that other people, I'm going to find things that other people might be offended by so that I can further my own political cause. And CBC loves that. They've called for policing of social media platforms in more cases, and they also want additions to the list of hate symbols. And of course, Elizabeth Thompson, who's paid by the state, is really doing the state's work here. Please, state, pay me more. And they're getting raises. Maybe you can bring that up after. Pay me more to produce more crap like this. Now, let's read the article, and then we'll bring up how CBC is getting raises afterwards. Federal government should appoint a regulator with the power to force social media companies to disclose information to help fight far-right extremism, an anti-hate group told MPs Tuesday. So for some reason, they're listening to this group of nobodies. Evan Balgord, executive director of the Canadian Anti-Hate Network, which totally isn't a made-up thing, said to an ombudsperson could put more pressure on tech companies to do more to reduce online harms, which of course we know translates to silence people I don't like. We can't do it on Twitter anymore, so we need to do it on Facebook and through the law. The idea is that you have an ombudsperson, a regulator, a well-resourced one, which one can crack down on anybody, with investigatory powers so they can kick down the door of Facebook and take their hard drives. So They just want to get, and they're so anti-hate, and they're so anti-fascist, and CBC's so left-wing and so anti-government that this guy should be able to go and kick down the doors of Facebook and demand their hard drives so that we can get information on people that we disagree with, because it's not going to be terrorists. And we can all agree that people who are making threats against the country and against politicians should be dealt with in a legal manner to the fullest extent of what is appropriate at the time. Not Billy and Sally posting, it's a lot of Billy and Sally's here. Johnny and Susie posting a Confederate flag, not Billy and Susie on the other side posting a BLM flag. The problem here is, Lewis, that these people are, and I'm going to be a little bit mean here, these people are not bright enough to understand that while these people are in power and they give them the power to go and kick down Facebook's door for what they see as extremism, what happens when a conservative government comes in and they have the power to come in and kick down the doors for left-wing extremism? The pendulum will always swing back, and what you're doing is giving these absurd powers to people that agree with you right now, but in 10 years they might not be, and they're going to be coming after you and what you say. And like we said, or like I said, of course we all disagree with real extremism, but when it's, you know, CBC pushing anti-hate network to say, hey, you better go kick down Facebook's door and take this person's identity so we can dox them online and make them ostracized because they disagree with us, that's the reality here, and it will come back to ruin our society.
Yep. And couple of questions.
Okay.
I'd like to know their definition of what far right is.
Of course we do.
And I'd love to hear their definition of what extremist views are. Because
speaking out against avocado farming, I believe, is going to be one of them.
That's an extremist view, mate. And, you know, we're going to have to knock down your door for it. So, you know, off in the wagon, mate. So the thing is, it reminds me, and that does remind me, of the non-hate crime incidents. And, you know, ever since I brought it up, I think it's stunned a couple of people, especially over in America and Canada when I explained about that. I don't know if Olivia could be so kind to find them, the non-hate crime incidents that happened in the UK for quite some time, where literally some people would have police turn up to their door because someone had reported them on Facebook for Facebook posts. Now, this isn't posts saying, I'm going to murder X, Y, and Z or anything like that. It's just posts where it be limericks, people posting limericks, which is one of them, and memes, another one. So if you post memes, the police basically just turn up to your door. And then they record it as a non-hate crime incident, meaning that, that there's no crime necessarily committed, but it's not a crime that's necessarily being committed, but we're still going to know it down.
And it was unlawful, it turns out. What do you know?
Exactly. Let's read this just quickly.
Okay.
Recording of so-called non-crime hate incidents by police forces in England is an unlawful interference with freedom of expression. True. The court has ruled. Court of Appeal has ruled. Excuse me. This morning, the court struck down College of Policing guidance, which encouraged police forces to record any non-crime incident perceived by the victim or any other person to be motivated by hostility or prejudice. Civil liberty groups had expressed a concern that such recording interfered with the right to free speech. Citizens who reported for a hate incident could be blacklisted on police databases, and I believe the number was about 120,000. So 120,000 bigots. 120,000 bigots in England. I believe that was the number. I need to be fact-checked on that. But that happened for a span of years, and that was the big talking point over here in the UK. There are even people, for example, a commentator over here, his name's Darren Grimes. He was under investigation because he interviewed a man named David Starkey who made a comment, and it was in regards to slavery. And he was cancelled completely over here in England. They stripped lots of different things off of him. He was a historian, a writer, and the interviewer, because he didn't call him out on what he said, he was then investigated by police because it could have been a non-hate crime incident. So even interviewers were under some sort of libel or under scrutiny at the time. So your story there reminds me of what happened over in England and, of course, the UK, and has been happening for a while. And it will continue to happen, I think, even though the Court of Appeal has said, look, no, we're going to scrap this. We're not going to do it anymore. Yeah, 120,000. That's where I read it from. Yes, to be deleted. Yeah,
whistled Bob the Builder
a man
tune.
Who whistled Bob the Builder tune at a neighbour, and a swimming teacher accused of allowing a boy to bang his head due to his ethnicity. Like, it's just wacky. I mean, we're trying to outwoke the Americans here, but still, it reminded me of that. It reminded me of what is happening, and we of course got the online safety bill that's going to be coming back. Being pushed through, and we're going to see this all over again. I predict. But that story that you brought up just reminded me of all that, and I thought I'd put my 20 pence on a say there. So thank you for that.
It's like a gun registry for people who are thinking about buying guns.
Basically,
you liked a gun photo on Facebook, you're on a list. Let's bring up the CBC getting pay raises before. And then let's go to any paid chats we have, and we'll see how much time we have left as we earn cryptocurrency on our Brave browser. See, by watching Rebel News, you earn us microcents in crypto.
Awesome.
I think it was a story maybe on rebelnews.com. CBC set to get raises. But
interesting.
Maybe we don't have it. We'll find it after. I promise you it exists. CBC's getting raises, but maybe not. We'll find it later. Lewis, do we have any paid chats to get to, team? Yay, we do. Somebody loves you,
cool.
Lewis.
Thank you. That's very kind.
We have new graphics. Trini Canadian. That would be a person from Trinidad and Tobago. Who has the better beard? Andrew says or Lewis Brackpool? It's a toss-up. Maybe Olivia can be the deciding vote. That's not fair. It's not fair for Lewis because she has to see me every day.
Yeah, let Olivia vote.
No, the people should vote.
True.
Olivia, sorry, we're rescinding the female vote. Women's suffrage is gone. If you want to tweet at us or maybe send us a carrier pigeon note or
do that.
Pay another chat that can be an ongoing thing. My beard is only like a week old because I shaved. Whenever we have a long weekend, I shave because it just gets so itchy. Lewis dyes his, as you can see. He dyes the mustache.
Down here. If I let it all grow out,
mine too.
It'll just be one
from top to bottom.
Mat.
Isn't the reason you dyed your beard is because when you were on Downton Abbey season 2 episodes 3 to 5 that they didn't want it to be that color? They didn't want you to appear too Irish?
What is your obsession, with me being on Downton Abbey?
I just want people to know that Lewis had an acting career before Rebel News.
That is fake news.
Rebel News exclusive. CBC on track to dish out well over $12 million in pay raises. It was not a fake story. It is from Canada's own Sheila Gunn Reid. While the rising cost of living is a major issue for Canadians, paychecks keep climbing. Let's see how much they are. You can go to rebelnews.com or go to Sheila Gunn Reid's journalist page to find this. Let's see, $12 million in pay raises, 2021 and 20. Yeah, so, this other thing is, they lied. It's only 11,989,000. The funny thing is how hard it is to get this stuff out of them. Because they don't like telling people about how much money they're spending. Go read the whole story. It gets into more about, rising costs in the country and inflation, and maybe we should just abolish all student debt and everything will be fine. But read that story from Sheila Gunn Reid. I told you it was true, Lewis. Any more paid chats? Go ahead.
Shall I do this one? Cheryl Dawn V. Lewis, Putin said if it comes down to nukes, they would nuke UK first for sending special forces to help Ukraine. Thanks for that. I'm having trouble sleeping usually, so that's really helped. Yes, I have heard that, and I try not to talk about it.
I have trouble sleeping because of climate change.
Do you? Well, I
Yeah.
have Putin anxiety and climate anxiety, so I'm more woke than you.
I'm
mate,
so pro climate change movement that like I turn all the heat off when it's hot. I turn off the air conditioning and I just walk around the backyard naked. When it's cold, I just wear like 6 layers of clothes and just sit in my basement and just plot things.
Yeah, that sounds brilliant. Can't wait for you to visit the UK and just see that for a week.
You don't have basements there, do you?
Yes.
Okay, it's
this is
Florida
it.
that doesn't have basements. That's not a basement. There's a window. That's not a basement. Yeah, you wouldn't dare turn the camera to your right, would you?
No, I wouldn't.
Yeah,
No,
that's
I
what I
wouldn't.
thought. He lives across the street from Scotland on one of those classic British streets where it's a narrow road winding. They've all got the little waist-high fences between the houses, and there's just a field across the street. It's predictable, Lewis.
It is predictable, and you love it
I
secretly,
do.
and you
It's
wish
not
it was
a secret. I don't wish I was there, but I do love it. I
You
wish
do.
I could go there. I wish I could go to 90s England,
there. Yes.
where
90s
everybody's
England would
wearing
have been
Union
nice.
Jack suits. And what's the movie?
I'm going to bring it back.
European Vacation. Have you ever seen that movie?
No, I haven't.
Okay,
no,
their
I haven't.
their
Any good?
first stop. Yeah, it's hilarious. Their first stop in Europe is in England, and they hit
Right.
this guy
Well,
with a
that's
car.
wrong.
They hit this guy with a car, and he's too polite to have a problem with it. Maybe we could play that at the end there, Olivia. European Vacation, and then maybe just England, guy hit by a car, something like that. Any more paid chats before we go? Oh, that's sad. That's sad, Lewis.
That is sad.
I'll go for my show tomorrow. It is with Chrissy Clark from the Daily Caller. She was here in Canada for some reason. I guess her family's from here. Chicago accent, though. So it's another person I had to make fun of their accent, Lewis. A lot of this.
You always love doing that.
The letter A, sax, and wat. What's coming up from you, Lewis?
Well, hopefully soon we will be releasing the Great Reset documentary, the first part, which is very
Looking forward
exciting.
to it.
I've watched Kian's edit. It's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, he's brilliant editor. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to sharing with people that documentary. I've also just done a report as well on how Putin is telling us. Well, say Putin. Sorry, the European Union is telling European citizens to stay at home and work from home to beat Vladimir Putin. So maybe if I turn my aircon down, I might not get nuked. So, I'm going to try it, see if it works. But I done a report on that on ukreporters.co.uk. You can go and check that all out there. And you'll have a great time listening to this annoying British voice all the time. There
Don't
I am.
put yourself down.
They're
It's
so-
not funny when you're making fun of yourself.
The thing is, right, there is a conspiracy now that they do the thumbnails, or someone at Rebel does the thumbnails just so that I pull faces. And,
What does that mean,
Yeah,
you pull faces?
well, I'm reporting it. It's like a quick little shot of me pulling a silly face.
Ah, I see. This
Minister
is a
of silly
very...
faces.
I'm Lewis Brackpool, and I'm here investigating things in my rain jacket.
Farmer's jacket.
That's right. How long is
Some of
this
the
clip,
film.
Olivia? Do we need a song, or is this clip more than the 2 minutes or something? Okay, we'll go ahead and play that. Thank you, Lewis Brackpool. Every single day,
you.
Rebel New. We have 2 more? Wow. Bless
Do
you,
it.
people.
Let's do it. You
GGCT
go.
says, I so love you two together on the show. Thank you. Make me laugh, which is even more needed these days. Thanks. And Lewis has the better beard by far.
Yes, thank you.
Listen, Lewis. All
Thank
right,
you.
after this next super
Love
chat, I have a rant that I have to go on for a moment before we leave. Go ahead.
People have spoken. So Trina Canadian once again. Andrew says, stop giving our Lewis v. Brackpool. We got your back, Lewis. Thank you very much. See?
You damn
Yes,
Brits.
I'm so happy. I'm
All
so
right, Lewis,
happy.
I have a big problem these days with captions and subtitles, and this just reminded
yum.
me of it. Yeah, man. You know,
Yum, yum.
when you watch something with subtitles on it, the people
Right.
who are writing these subtitles take so many liberties with what they're typing, and I noticed it watching Chef Ramsay stuff. They just leave out portions. They change words for different words. Who do you people think you are? You think you can just change the words on captions
You know what I'm
for...
going to say? you know what I'm going to say? Cry more, mate. Cry
Play
more.
the clip, Olivia. rebelnews.com/livestreams. Who do these people think they are? You can't just change the words that were meant to be in the show.
Yes,
you can't just put in whatever you want.
Invented it. We invented
Not
it.
bad in England, huh?
This is
I
great.
must say. The English are certainly,
I've not seen this. So much smoke.
I'm really sorry. I'm just trying to get us back to our hotel.
An American.
Yeah, but- oh.
Delighted to meet you.
Thank you.
I hope you're enjoying our country.
Well, we are. I
Yes.
driving
Oh,
straight up.
but don't worry about little things like this. No trouble at
Oh,
all.
well, that's so
I mean,
nice.
Flossy, I was driving on the right side of the road, which of course the left side of the road. I mean,
Yeah,
and,
that's the whole problem. Listen, let me just get this for you.
Oh, no.
The least I can do is get it back on your car.
You keep that. Take it back to New York as a memento. What?
Well, thank you very much. It's very kind of you, honey. Here's another one. Thank you.
Here's another one.
Oh, I love
I think
it.
they hit somebody with a
Never
car
seen it.
too. European Vacation. There's a whole series of movies called the Vacation movies. It started with Christmas Vacation. No, Vacation, Christmas Vacation,
Well, I think I got
then
the
this
hang of it
National
one.
Lampoon. That's-
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
And it's this guy, of course, you'll recognize.
Please let me help you.
Oh, no problem, Squire.
Oh,
No harm
Monty
done.
Python.
Yeah.
Doesn't hurt much at all.
Let me pay for the damage.
Oh, good heavens, no need for money.
This is how all British people are. Okay, see you next time, Lewis. Thanks, everybody. rebelnews.com/livestreams. Go buy some misunderstood merch at the Rebel News store.
Maybe he knows how to get to the
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Do it.
I hate to bother you, but we're from the United States. We're staying at the Royal Imperial Windsor Arms.
Royal Imperial Windsor. Ah, very nice hotel.
Well, yeah, we like it. It's a little small.
Well, you go back.